though, that does about it.
Is going to try for another Will-O-Wisp. Will it hit? No!
The triple part will make sense, and you might wonder, well, why did Lacey...
I gotcha.
Spooky beans.
And good evening, trainers. Well, hold up. Third time's the charm, right? We're here. We're here. All right. Well, good evening, trainers, and welcome to Silph Co Sports right here on Geeklife. My name is The Dodd. I'm the streamer you need, but not the one you deserve. And today I am joined by the man without a plan, Nibs from Nibs Plays Games. How are you doing today, Nibs?
I'm great, brother man. Thank you for asking.
Good, good. Yeah, how you've taken a little bit of a hiatus from streaming lately. What have you been getting into? Have you been? I've seen that you've been playing a lot of Unite lately, and you've gotten a new main that you've been working with, right?
Oh yeah. So I've been working on some Mammoth Swine. Unfortunately, the whole hiatus was mostly because of technology errors. So I had to go ahead and just upgrade my stuff. So today I'm actually using a new PC for the first time on Geeklife. On Geeklife. Yeah. What have you been playing with, brother?
I went back to a little bit of VGC because since the last time we were here, right, I participated in that tournament that you were promoting last time with ATX VGC, the Braves Beeves Cup, but I couldn't get my team ready in time, and so I had to go with an old team that was like super, just like the most Series 10 team that you could think of, like it just like the top, like I'm pretty sure it was the top most used Mon there, minus Ditto. And Ditto was just there for fun. And so I was a little bit like kind of disappointed, one, because I didn't do really well in the tournament, but also two, just because I didn't get to use some of these fun Mons that I thought of, because I put a lot of time in thinking like, what are these counter meta Mons that I can use? And so I've done a little bit more VGC. I've had a lot of fun with the team that I created, and I'm still kind of working on it a little bit. I don't know if I should or shouldn't, because like Series 10 is pretty much done, right? So there's not really too much of a point of getting to it, but that and playing a bunch of Batman and catching up with you and playing some Unite, that's kind of what I've been up to, man. It's been a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed you have been playing a lot of VGC. We've also been talking a lot of VGC, theorizing some stuff, and it is kind of weird. It's a weird situation. There's only 10 days left, maybe, of Series 10. So as much as everybody, for the most part, loves Series 10, and we're going to be sad to see it go, there is definitely a lot more stuff to experience out there in a sense of meta.
For sure, man, for sure. We're going to be getting to some of that tonight. So without further ado, let's get right to it. We've got a great show for you guys tonight. Before we get started, we want to make a quick reminder to like and subscribe. Subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed anything here tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, wherever you may be, or if you're watching Nibs shrink into the abyss on the corner of the screen, wherever you're watching it, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Now that we have that out of the way, regular size Nibs, what do you have on the agenda for us tonight?
All right, so let's check it out here. We are gonna have, what's that? We're gonna be talking about some EGL draft stuff. We got some news this morning, Dodd, that I'm excited about. I don't know about yourself.
Okay.
It's in regards to regionals. They made an announcement. Pokemon.
Oh yes, that's true. They're very true. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that. I'm really excited to go into that. Series 10 on its way. We're gonna. Yeah. What do you think there, Doc?
So it's certainly one hell of a show that we've got for sure. But you've got the first story that we've got up for you, which is Series 11 being finally confirmed, and it looks like we were right about it being pretty much a clone of Series 8. What you got for us, Nibs?
Yeah, so basically, as you just mentioned, Series 11 has been confirmed, and it's Series 8, and Dynamax is going to be back with the restricted Series 8 Picolytics Analytics. That's what we have here. So looking back at Series 8, the number one most used Pokemon, as expected, and still today, it's the most used Pokemon in, um, yeah. So in Series 10 is what I was trying to say. So Ensign back in Series 8 was it was on 45% of the teams. Regieleki closely followed, and as you saw in Series 10, that was also the second most used Pokemon in Series 10. So a little bit of correlation there with the single restricted format. I'll just run down that line real quick just so we can talk about them real fast.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar faces for sure.
There are, but the very last one is the one that I'm most excited about. And then here, let me just go through them, and then we'll talk about them. So basically, number one here is going to be Incineroar. Number two, Regieleki. First restricted is going to be in that number 3 slot with Zacian. Number 4 is Thundurus. Number 5 is Lando T, so not Lando I. And then we got Venusaur, everybody's favorite sleeper, you know?
Yep.
Then we have Urshifu. It's kind of hard to tell which typing this one is, but if I were to guess looking back at Series 8, I would assume that that's actually the Dark type. And then Series 11 here, we know that we switched back to it's the Water type here for Series 10. And then last but not least of the top 10 in Pikalytics, we have Torkoal.
You got Venusaur. You might as well have Torkoal.
Exactly. Right? So that's what I'm most excited about. And honestly, 4 or maybe even 5 of these Pokemon are actually immediately on my first team here in Series 11. What is your take with all this information, Dot?
Well, one, I'm definitely excited for the return of Dynamax, mostly because I'm a terrible VGC player and I need a gimmick. I need a gimmick to win. I need the kind of gimmick that in certain situations, if my opponent has fucked up, I can 3v1 them with, you know, a fucking ridiculous Pokemon, because when you have a mechanic that allows you to just super bulk up your Mon, resist fake outs, and all the goodness that Dynamax gives you, you have those kind of opportunities. Series 10 was very unforgiving to me. That's what I would say about Series 10, right? There was a lot of times where, you know, you did really good or you did really fucking bad, right? You got fucking swept by Shadow Rider, or, you know, you came out on top. And I was mostly the latter, Nibs. So I am excited for Series 8 or Series 11 to come back, and I can get my Dynamax. I can start throwing up some good old lapdog with those shields and everything else, and just bulky mons. So, what about you? I know that you didn't want to see Dynamax come back, but does that mean you're gone? You're gonna quit Pokemon forever? You're never gonna play again?
No, of course not. It absolutely does not mean that. I mostly just wanted to see something a little bit different, but something that I'm somewhat familiar with. Dotson, you know that I've been playing Pokemon VGC specifically since VGC 14, since 2014. Right. So I'm really excited, and I'm somewhat familiar with not having to Dynamax my Pokemon. The thing about Dynamax and not Dynamax is, when you're only used to Dynamaxing, there's a massive learning curve, because oftentimes you're used to just clicking the go button, right? I like to refer to Dynamax as the go button. So like oftentimes you'll see, like, I like to lead with my favorite thing with Grimmsnarl and Zapdos, where that'll allow me to just click Airstream turn 1 half the time. And that's what I call the go button, is just getting big, doubling your HP, and then clicking Airstream, doing tons of damage to your opponent. Wilbur. Yeah, exactly. So there's a massive learning curve going from Dynamax to non-Dynamax, and I think that's where you'll see the latter, where you struggle sometimes, and sometimes maybe you are feeling it, maybe you are making the right reads, but also with non-Dynamax, it's a cool thing because you do see a lot of that stuff where it's, so some days I'm killing it and some days I'm not, and that's because Pokemon is more day-to-day meta related than you actually think. And that's not even something that we've really talked about. Right? Well, some days you can be blowing your opponents away with Lapras, and some days, you'll see more Alecki and Rillaboom leads than other days where it just becomes impossible to click that max resonance, and it makes it harder. It's funny to say, there's a lot more to talk about when we're referring to day-to-day meta. It's a very extensive kind of thing that we haven't really talked about a whole lot, but it's literally as simple of, okay, today Urshifu is using, and this will be a little segue into much later or a foreshadowing moment, but
Right.
it's literally as simple as I'm using water Urshifu or I'm using dark Urshifu today, or today, slow Urshifu is actually better than Choice Scarf or Focus Sash.
Right.
It's little minor things like that, but that makes it's like an avalanche, right? Where that a little small thing like that can turn into a massive snowfall, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I see exactly what you're talking about. I think that, the snowballing effect of Dynamax, I think, has been, people have been creative and found different ways to use it. Like, I do remember when, like, there was a time where nobody was, there was a time eventually where, like, no one was using, weakness policy Colossal, right? Now that it's back available, of course, everybody's grabbing it. But there was a time before that was even kind of a discovered thing that people were out there in the meta using frequently. So I don't know, man. I'm super excited for Dynamax to come back. I'm super excited to see how the meta shifts. I think we are going to lose a lot of some of these fun mons that we've been able to play with over these past couple of weeks. Right, a lot of these fake out and wide guard users. I mean, they had a lot of prevalence in the Series 10 meta. I don't think we're going to see those much in Series 11. So, sit down Min Shao, sit down Hitmontop. Their time in the spotlight's kind of gone. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. One of the other unfortunate drops that we're going to end up seeing, I think, is the rise in Entei that we had actually covered in our last show. I personally, I think, and I was actually having a conversation with some of my teammates in EGL earlier today, talking about Entei and its impact, and is it going to be good? Because some of my teammates they're still trying to build with Entei, and it's not that it's like a bad idea. It's just that you don't need it as much. It doesn't do as much for your team now, and the fact is, like, you're going to see a lot more Max Quakes. You know what I mean? In Series 10, there's no Max Quakes, and there's actually somewhat of a limitation in ground attacks and ground type users. Like your ground type users are like Landorus Incarnate or Groudon, pretty much. What else is there? There's like that's pretty much it. I can't even really think of
otherwise most of your ground moves were ran on another mon as a coverage move,
and it's not stab, and it's just not gonna do as much as it needs to.
It was on an Ice Rider or something like that with a high horsepower, something just so they can get a little bit more coverage. So I think that it's going to be a major shift again, and it's good to have series like out there like Series 10. I think it's better. It's good for Pokemon players like me who came in on Gen 8, and there's so many of us that came on Gen 8 to really go out there and play in a meta where you don't have that gimmick that we've based a lot of our fighting mechanics around. But God, am I glad to have it come back. Jeez, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked.
One thing you might not be excited to hear this, and this thought actually just popped in my head for the first time right now. So we have live events coming up, right? Live events are coming back. So if there, on the off chance that we do actually end up switching back, the format switches back right when we go live, right? We don't know what the format's going to be.
Right.
What if we go to Nomax when the new meta comes out, and we've spent all these last months playing in a Dynamax format, and now all these new players have no idea what's going on in their live event, and now, you know what I mean? We could be in trouble.
That would be, I think that would be definitely a troublesome situation. I would probably, that would probably affect me the most. It'd be like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do with this goddamn Lapras now?
Hey, I got a shoulder right here with your name on it, brother.
I appreciate it. But this next news is certainly not anything to cry about. That, of course, is the spooky update to Unite. Despite Sylveon and Mamoswine both now just entering the Mama, Unite is still coming strong with new content, even so. And we got a whole new Halloween theme for Mer Stadium. There's also balance patches to Lucario, Venusaur, Blastoise. They've nerfed Zapdos. They've nerfed Dreadnought. After capturing, they've also changed up Rotom. So after capturing Rotom, Rotom's HP, attack, and speed are increased. So they kind of buffed Rotom. Which I do think is probably a very needed balance. I mean, I don't like them nerfing Zapdos too much because I do like Zapdos being a really important win condition. But Yeah, there's a ton of stuff in this update. Not only are we getting a new arena with all kinds of spooky themes out there, including jack-o'-lanterns and like this whole like new vibe. We're getting new costumes, including my boy Zero Aura is finally getting a costume. I don't care if it's ugly, Nibs. All right, I'm still gonna wear the fucking top hat. I got nothing else to wear. And we even got a new Pokemon as well. Greedent has arrived during the event, and the first results that I have heard is Greedent is absolutely broken. Nibs, have you gotten a chance to sit down and play with Greedent at all? How does he run? Is he as broken as I hear?
Yeah, so I kind of wish we had Up Smash in here because I know Up Smash had a chance to play a little bit more with Greedent than I had. I unfortunately was only able. It came out today. It literally got released today. So I got done work and I came back home and I'm trying to get a few things done before the show and get situated to get ready on my end. So I did boot up a couple of games and I did actually purchase in-game purchase. I don't pay to play. I'm trying to take that route because there was a lot of naysayers when Unite came out saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna do it. They're just gonna get your money one way or another." And no, they're not. You're not getting any of my money. 10 cent. You're not getting a cent from me.
They haven't gotten any of my money either, other than the 2 battle passes and the $20 Charizard skin. They haven't gotten any of my money.
I remember Savage will laugh about this one. I know that this one's for Savage. When I was streaming on my personal channel one time, and you were actually playing with me, and you're like, "Oh, dude, why is your Lucario naked? Why don't you have any clothes on? You just got a skin for it." I was like, Lucario doesn't have a skin that's free. Like, it's not possible to do that. Like, I'm not paid to play it. It's not possible. And you were like, "Oh, dude, it's free. Just go into the battle pass that you already purchased."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Wait, the battle pass is free? What are you talking about, man?"
No, it's not free. It's just free.
It's free.
I assume you get the battle pass.
It's free if you paid for it already.
You're not gonna get astronaut Gengar.
But to answer your question, that I've gone way off the track. I have had a chance to play with Greedent. I played one game with it. I'm very confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. According to Up Smash, you drop all these berries when you attack, I think. And then after you do it so many times, you get to a certain level. I'm definitely saying this wrong. Maybe we should just get Up Smash in here somehow, or like his voice or something.
Well,
I don't know.
mean, he's saying in the comments here, Greedent is a defender, which means it's a speedster. And they got like $60 from Up Smash from all this though. From all I've heard, Greedent is an absolute monster, able to store seeds, spit them back out. He's the first Mon to be able to spray seeds all over your face, Nibs. Are you excited to get your seeds sprayed all over your face by Greedent?
Brother. Why do you have to go there, man?
Hey, go where? I'm just talking about the seeds that he's spraying from his mouth. What are you talking about?
That's true.
Dirty-minded. Yeah.
That's true, man.
Well, speaking about being dirty-minded, the EGL Draft League, or the Elite Gamer League, had their draft this weekend.
That's not what it's called.
That's not what it's called?
No.
What does EGL stand for?
Why did you just assume that?
No, because I thought I got it from their Twitter.
No, you might have gone to the wrong one. It's the Evergrand League.
Evergrand League.
Yeah.
Why do I have the Elite Gamer League? I thought I copied that.
Yeah, there. It's on the screen right now, man.
Well, there you go. I got it right. I got it right on the graphics. That's all that counts, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It's pretty funny. I think it's funny. Yeah. So anyway, we had our league. We had our draft. Oh, I meant to send that text to Ryan, and I didn't get a chance to. I'm literally like technically typing because I started typing it and it wasn't work. So anyway, Ryan P. Hebert, or he is the commissioner, the main commissioner, as well as Stacks of this league.
For the people who haven't heard what the Evergrand League is, can you kind of give a general explanation of what the Evergrand League is?
Yes. So Ryan and Stacks are the two main commissioners, and they formed this league that they wanted originally to kind of base as a ground for like people that wanted to play in the higher up leagues, the leagues that are more well known, such as like the PGL and the NPA eventually, which is like, I mean, that's like elitist kind of stuff. Like we don't even talk about that. So basically, it's a player draft league where you sign up. There was 240 signups. There's 12 teams, and then basically it's an auction type draft. So what happens is you go in order. So here we have the Giratina Origin, which I think was originally coached by Tio. Tio is not coaching anymore. That might even be wrong, but that's not really important anyway.
Okay, this one was grabbed straight from Twitter, so it should be right.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. But I think Tio was technically the original owner of the team, not the owner, but the manager, the coach. So basically, you have a set amount of money, and each coach will nominate a player from the sign-up sheet. So for example, like Tio or Nino is actually my coach, Nino Pokebros. When their turn would be up to go, they would say, I nominate this player for 3K. That's the minimum. And then you could also just say, I want to nominate this player for 20K. So that's basically how that works. And you have to, there's 7 matches each week. And the first team that gets 4 wins wins that week. So that's how you get a win. You do a best of 3s VGC style current format. So this will be Series 11 rules. This is the second season. The Giratina Origin won the first season. But that doesn't really mean anything at all because the teams are all flipped around. Coaches are coaching for different teams. Nothing is the same. I know a couple of players were drafted by the same team, but it's not the same team because it's different coaches. So basically, yeah, that is the coverage of the Evergrand League, or not the coverage, but the rundown of it. There is a couple more things that I do want to talk about in regards to that. But basically, what is your take, Dodd? What do you think of it so far? Is there anything that you think that I need to cover outside of that?
Well, no, I mean, I think that I think it's a really interesting concept for a league. Of course, this is a draft league where you're drafting players and not mons. I'm so used to drafting Pokemon in your draft league, right? You know, and being excited that you got Conkeldurr as your pick, not an actual player.
Not that you got Roose Bane as a pick.
Yeah, exactly. And so and it works kind of like a lot of the ways like that Victory Road and stuff like that does some of their the championship like team based matches. So I think that's a lot of fun. Now the money being on the line there, that's a lot of money out there. That's interesting that there's that much money floating around for a draft league.
So what you're seeing there in cash, that's not actual real life money.
Okay.
So basically, like that's just what the coaches are allowed to spend. You could technically look at them as just like currency. Like you could look at it as points.
Okay.
So like there's no earnings or anything from this league. It's not like a high rollers league. It's just for fun, and it's literally just to. It was originally created to be ground up, to be like the lesser skilled players. But the thing is, like the first season went so well that so many people found out about it. So many people heard, and now there's like Joe UX9 is playing in it. Who else is playing in it? That's a bigger name. I mean, Jin Furai, he's a coach. Nino Pokebros, he's a coach.
I know I saw Echo Rose is on your team.
Echo Rose.
A lot of people here that are big friends of the show that are in this league. So it's a lot of high stake players. I'm hoping that we can get some best of 3 matches that we could commentate here. I would love to have that happen. So that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I just wanted to at least talk about really quick, or at least mention in regards to the EGL. So you were talking about my friend, like some of my friends. A lot of these people in this league are my friends, or at least I would consider them my friends. But the big thing is the heavy spender, Chase Tiki, who is a good friend of mine. He went for the most amount of money. He was he ended up getting picked up by the Buzzwall Gains, which is coached by Jin Furai, and the assistant coach is Bars, who Chase knows very well from previous leagues. So Chase was picked up, and he was actually the highest paid player, if you will. So the coaches spent the most on him. And somebody else that was picked up, I think, was the second most, or at least close to it. His name is Embracing, or Sebastian, excuse me. Okay. He is somebody that I build with on a regular basis, basically. So he was on my team with the Swill Boys with the PGL, and in the first season of the EGL, him and I were both teammates on the Heatran Forge. Justified Joey is another one of those players. They both got picked up by Big Slim World. And I'm still talking to those guys every day, and we're still building. But when we end up playing against those guys, it's going to be a very fun week. And I can just about guarantee you that I'm either going to be playing or I'm going to have a hot hand in, building against these guys because I know what they got.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you. Best of luck to all the teams out there, and I hope to see some amazing matches come out of it. EGL, the Evergrand League, not the Elite Gamer League.
Yeah.
Right, we got that. Okay, now that we got that covered. But that wasn't the only announcement that came recently. In fact, this morning, we got an announcement about regionals. The regional championships are the largest Pokemon events that we have in terms of both audience and championship point payouts. And the Pokemon Company has finally released the schedule for the 2022 season. With up to 50,000 in prizes, scholarships, and gift cards, there's a lot to get excited about based on audiences, of course. And up to even 65,000 with Pokemon Go. I don't know if you knew that. That's fucking crazy to me. No qualifications for or residency restrictions are needed to enter the TCG or video game events. So that means that people from all over the country, as long as you can get to one of these events, you can participate in it. You don't have to be, live in that state or whatever the case may be. Some qualifications and residency restrictions apply to Pokemon Go, including for an early restriction, which is linked to performance in the Pokemon Go Battle League and the acceptance of terms. But outside of that, there's really no restrictions from where you're coming from. So we got a glance at the schedule. We know that we can mark our calendars for March 18th to be the big return of some of these regional events. I know that's going to be one that a lot of us are going to be looking forward to. That's going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. There's going to be on March 25th, Orlando, Florida. May 6th, Indianapolis, Indiana. May 20th, I think that's Syracuse, New Jersey. Secaucus.
Secaucus, yeah.
Secaucus. And then May 27th will be in Vancouver, British Columbia, and June 17th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I think for us, Orlando, Florida is looking pretty nice around March 25th. That's a good possibility. But with none currently in so what was interesting though was there was only 2 of these regionals announced in Europe, none in Oceania, and none in Latin America. So it's very, very scarce amount of these regionals, and very, located on particularly one part of the hemisphere here. But with none of these in the country state of Texas, Nibs, do you think you'll be traveling to one of these regionals? And if so, which one?
I'd definitely love to, Doc. There's 2 specifically that I'm looking at. I mean, I'd love to get to all of these if I possibly could. If I'm able to, it depends on restrictions and whatnot. I know originally they were saying that they are gonna put the capacity mark at 200. I know dang well. So the 2 locations that I would like to go to are the Orlando, Florida one, right. March 25th to 27th. The other one is May 20th to the 22nd is in New Jersey, the Secaucus one.
Right, you got New Jersey friends up there, right? You could crash with.
Yeah, so I'm originally from New Jersey. I spent the first 20 years of my life living in New Jersey before I finally started living in a bunch of other places. Mm-hmm. So my entire family lives within 15 minutes of each other in New Jersey, but South Jersey. Secaucus is, to me, I could get backlash from this. I really don't care, and if you do give me backlash, you're just wrong. There's a North Jersey and there's a South Jersey. Secaucus is where the people that are from North Jersey and think they live in Central Jersey, they would think that it's in Central Jersey, but Central Jersey does not exist. So it's in North Jersey. So it is still 2 hours for my parents. But the thing is, what I'm talking about with capacity is if you think that I'm gonna pay for a plane ticket and I'm gonna fly out here and then I'm gonna get into this event and you're gonna tell me that I can't play, I can't join, I can't sign up because there's already too many people playing in it, I'm gonna be livid. But for me, if there's 2 places that I would go that I can kind of not care or rely too much on playing, it would literally be Orlando or New Jersey. New Jersey, obviously, because of what I just said, but Orlando because I have a lot of friends in the Pokemon community now, kind of sort of thanks to the pandemic, or at least the ATX VGC stuff that we did. Bush Sr. is one specific that I'm talking about. He lives about an hour from the event, he said. Um, if I didn't get into the event, I'd still get to hang out with some people and see a lot of people that I would love to meet. So those are the two that I really, really have my eyes on. And even if I can't get in, I would still like to get out to those events.
Orlando seems like it would be a fun one. Any chance to visit Florida is always usually a lot of fun, especially if you can get it at a good time of year in March. I think it's probably going to start getting really nice where you can go out to the beach and shit like that too. So that does seem like a nice trip to take. I might try to go for a trip to Orlando there, but it depends on how much money I got to do it, because Orlando's not a cheap place to stay for sure. Yeah. My dog's coming in here to chill with me. Anyways, moving right along into our modular segment for this week. Soon, so let's give a little introduction to this. Soon, trainers are going to have to deal with the unfortunate news that Series 10 is coming to a close, right? This unique meta has highlighted some mons and that we're not nearly used to seeing in previous metas in Dynamax. This unique meta has highlighted some mons that we've never seen before in the Dynamax metas. And while most trainers have already started moving on, participating in pre-series tournaments and Dynamax-friendly challenges like the Spooky Cup, we thought we would take this time to look back on Series 10 and the meta of Series 10 and give our kind of top 5 and bottom 5 of the Series 10 meta. So this is our modular segment, the metagame meta. And we're going to start off with you with your top 5 of the Series 10, Nibs. Tell us who you got.
All right, so my favorite 5 that I've seen in the Series 10 meta. Number 1 here was Urshifu.
Don't you want to start off with number 5 first?
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
so I did that backwards then, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I wanted to, anyway. Zacian is going to be the number 1 favorite. I just like it because its design is really cool. It's a very good Pokemon. It's fun to use. Number 4, we have Ditto, which the biggest thing is it's going to do its best in single restricted formats because you're essentially cheating in some aspect, where you can have two restricteds if you put it in the right slot, which is really cool. But it's also kind of bad because it doesn't have the same stats. It dies a little bit easier. I mean, it still gets the stat boosts and whatnot, but I think its stats are not quite as good. I could be wrong about that. But the next one, number 3 here, is Volcarona. That was very cool to see. I think Series 10 was definitely the best for Volcarona. We saw a massive rise in Volcarona. Number 2 was Mienshao.
The master Quiverdancer.
The master, exactly. And then number 1 was Urshifu Water, specifically with Mystic Water. The main thing that I liked about the Urshifu is the fact that it moved us away from the dark type Urshifu, where it was I would say that it was like a 75 to 25 split, where you would, if the 75%, you would see the dark Urshifu more than the Rapid Strike form. But now, not only is that what we're seeing change, we're also seeing an item change in this Pokemon. So you're seeing it become a little bit more versatile, I think. You're just, any Urshifu at all, we would see with either Close Combat or Surging Strikes, depending on the typing, Sucker Punch or Aqua Jet, Detect or Protect, and then Close Combat. And that's every Urshifu that you would ever see. And then you would swap either between Focus Sash or Choice Band. But the fact that we're seeing Urshifu being ran a little bit more bulky at a different speed, I really enjoyed seeing that.
Bulky Fu has been fun. Bulky Fu has definitely been a fun one to play with in this meta for sure. I think that Surging Strikes has so much more capacity when you know that there's no max guards coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's my 5 there, Dot. If you want to move on to your 5 there.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting 5 you got there. I had some that, like, of course, the top 5 mons in the meta that we have here are going to be stuff like Rillaboom, Incineroar, Regieleki. They really dominated here. And so for my top 5, I really looked at mons that I loved playing with, mostly because they were counter to a lot of the meta out there. And although I never really got Melodic to work, Melodic comes in here at number 5 in there. You got the competitive boost, which just stopped any Incineroars from coming in, and you could just kind of bounce back those intimidate bonuses off of them. And plus, after that, they're already in a really compromising position because you can hit them with the muddy water, and you're not going to probably knock it out, but you're going to do a lot of fucking damage to it. Icy Wind was another way of starting to slow other mons down, and I was able to with the team that I did end up building. A lot of times use Melodic as speed control, and being able to be a counter Incineroar and speed control at the same time, very, very useful in the Series 10 meta. Number 4 that I have here is going to be your numero uno, Nibs, which is Urshifu Rapid Strike. As I was saying before, surging strikes with out having to worry about a max guard out there is just absolutely lethal. It hits every single time, and you can knock out things like Landorus Eye, even if it substitutes. That's so useful in this meta. Not only having that, but having Detect and Aqua Jet, allowing it to hit first when it needed to guard itself when it needed to, hit like hell 3 times in a row and take off Focus Ashes if it needed to. Urshifu Rapid Strike was just really, really unmatched in this meta. But number 3 really got a chance to shine here, which was Shadow Rider Calyrex. Now, Shadow Rider Calyrex was a lot of fun because you basically built teams around Shadow Rider Calyrex. You got the Grimnay boost that you got to worry about, and you could kind of just start snowballing things. Hitting both sides at the same time was really, really fucking awesome. Now, most of the times, your biggest worry was another Shadow Rider Calyrex, and you had to make sure that you actually did play for that matchup. But, a Ghost Core has done well a lot of different times, and Shadow Rider Calyrex couldn't really shine in the Dynamax meta as much and really get the benefit of hitting both slots and double KOing mons like it can in the Series 10 meta. So absolutely loved that one. Number 2 for me is going to be another strange one here. It's going to be Hitmontop. Now, Hitmontop was a lot of fun for me to use in this meta. One, you needed a wide guard user in this meta. You needed a fake out user in this meta. You needed a feint user in this meta. And Hitmontop's got all 3+ Intimidate. It is a bulky little guy, and putting a close combat on it means that I can now hit Incineroar for super effective damage when they switch in on, one of those intimidate checks, and also checking other things too. Now, I have found, as we saw from some of the ATX VGC matches, that eject button may not always be the best choice, especially if you have a Shadow Rider Calyrex in the back, because that can be definitely played to an advantage. But there's a lot of different things that you can run on it anyways, and it was just a fun mon to use. This is a mon that you really never got to see used very often in the Dynamax formats, and really, really competitively viable in Series 10. But my number 1 in this meta has got to be Serena, and Serena is just an absolutely awesome Pokemon to use. You have the triple axle, which would take out a lot more than you think it would, including Landos. It will take out Rillabooms, and being able to stop priority moves is really, really important in this meta. Not to mention that you have, it's a fairly bulky mon that can get taunt. No, it can't get taunt, but it can get taunt. I usually running it with an assault vest, and so I didn't actually run taunt with it. But with Power Whip and everything that it's got at its disposal, Play Rough, it can hit Incineroar, it can hit Rillaboom, it can hit pretty much everything in the meta, and stopping those priority moves was very, very critical in the Series 10. But yeah, that's what I've got there. Nibs, what do you got? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so my favorite thing from that is you were talking about when you lost on Monday Night Friendlies because your opponent eject buttoned you. Your opponent eject buttoned you to the only Pokemon that you had remaining in the back.
Which was Shadow Rider Calyrex.
Can you still see me? I just got kicked there.
Oh yeah, no, we can still hear you though.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of frozen with us right now. So that's fine. But we can absolutely still hear you. I think that yours, Ditto is one that you had on your countdown that I was really kind of wanted to put on mine as well. Ditto was a lot of fun. I used Ditto, of course, in the Beeves Cup. I've used it in a couple of ATX matches. And yeah, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, throw your Ditto out whenever you see a situation where they're gonna line up their Shadow Rider or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that was one that I really and of course Zacian, Sword Dog. What you gotta love Sword Dog, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say
there we
is
go.
like your opponents could make like some serious gamer moves, but they'd have to be like absolute gamers in order to make that move. Where
Yeah.
you ran in that situation where you still had your eject button on your Hitmontop, which is kind of funny because usually like if you lose that like turn 1 pretty much, or like turn 2, or just super early on, right? What's the matter?
No, I was just your head was like in my lap, and I was like,
It's being kind of weird on my end.
Yeah, Skype is the internet's having a really fun day with us today, guys. But
Yeah.
mine no technical difficulties. You don't see them. They don't happen, right? No, it's
But
Twitch is being
basically,
fucky today, so Skype's being fucky today. Internet's being fucky today. The internet's broken.
basically though, guys, the issue that Dodson ran into was, I forget exactly which Pokemon were on the field, but I know Hitmontop and something else was on the field for Dodd.
Yeah.
And then Dodd had one thing left in the back. I think it was your restricted, right?
It was my Shadow Rider Calyrex.
Your Shadow Rider. So your opponent clicked like a priority move, like Grassy Glide or something. It faked you out into your Hitmontop. So Hitmontop had to switch out, and Dodd only had one Pokemon in the back. So Shadow Rider comes onto the field, switch in, and the opponent knew that it just goes for Astral Barrage and just whoosh. GG, you just lose. That's it.
You just lose. You just lose.
So I know maybe you didn't want me to talk about that, but honestly, like that's such a gamer moment, dude. Like that is.
It was
that
really
is like
flag.
That's the kind of clips we want you guys to send us. Like send that stuff.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're not Dodd, that's a great turn.
Right. That's why I need Dynamax. Right. That. Because what would happen there? Just a Max Knuckle coming down from nowhere.
Yeah. Where'd that Max Knuckle come from?
Where did that Max Knuckle come from? Oh well, I mean, you could still probably. I would have to max guard, to get it, because of the eject button is the problem.
Yeah.
That'd be a waste of Dynamax.
All right, Dodd. What do you say we switch back over though to our?
Yeah. It's actually you're up next for
All
your
right.
worst picks.
All right. Excellent. I'm very excited about that. So, for my worst picks here, we're gonna see number 1 again on the list. I'm gonna have Zacian. It's one of my favorite, and it's also one of my least favorite. I like it because its design is so cool. It's a really cool looking Pokemon. Try.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a really cool Pokemon, and I just love it. But also, it's OP. And we saw it in Series 8 previously, as we kind of discussed earlier on. It was, it's been the number 1 restricted in the meta for both Series 8 and Series 10, where it was legal. So basically, I don't know. It didn't change at all.
There we go.
So yeah, basically, like, I love Zacian. It's a really cool design, but it's like so overpowered that it's number 1 for restricted Pokemon. In everything if it's involved, it's number 1. Yeah. I mean, how can you not like a Pokemon that switches onto the field and gets a +1 attack boost? And then, not only that, its Behemoth Blade, its main move, does double the damage if you're Dynamaxed. So basically, it just does the same amount of damage whether you're Dynamaxed or not,
Yeah. It's mean. It's real mean.
Oh yeah, but to move on to my next Pokemon, I went on a little bit of a rant about Zacian there, just because it's so cool, and so it's on both my lists. I think it's okay that I go on a little bit of a rant about it. The next one is going to be Lando I. I hate it just because it's in a weird speed tier, and it's literally, it is a chess piece. It's a massive chess piece. But basically, what it does, it's either going to one-shot you, or you're going to one-shot it. So you're going to have to outspeed it, and if you don't, then you're going to lose something. You're going to have to protect. You're going to have to switch into a flying type or a steel type if you think a sludge bomb's coming. But basically, look out for this thing. It's annoying as heck. it's just kind of in a weird situation. I didn't really like Lando I all that much. I'm more excited for Lando T to come back. Next up on my list here is going to be Gothitelle. Anytime Gothitelle is a massive part of a meta, it is highly frustrating for people that don't like playing Gothitelle or meta Pokemon. So basically what Gothitelle does, it gets fake outs off, it gets ally switch. Hypnosis is the big thing that people mainly run it for, just because it's so thick that it can sit there and take attacks. And then while it's sitting there taking your attacks, it can attempt 55% chance to put you to sleep with a hypnosis. So that can be pretty frustrating. It could be fun if you're a Gothitelle player. I'm not, so it's not fun for me. But yeah, so next up on my list would be Kyogre. Kyogre, I hate Kyogre so much. Basically, what you want to do with Kyogre is run some sort of speed control. A lot of people, especially in Series 10, you can just run Choice Scarf and outspeed everything, and then you just dish out a Water Spout, which is a 150 base power spread move at full health. So basically, it does 150 base power plus stab plus rain boost to 2 different Pokemon on the other side of the field. So you're gonna have to find several ways around that. One thing I like to do is switch in my Rillaboom. My Assault Vest Rillaboom would still take like 45% health. It's resisted. That's ridiculous. Come on, get out of here with that. And also, Kyogre players are always running these. I know you just said it's one of your favorite things about Series 10 is the Serena that you're gonna miss. I don't really like Serena all that much because I do like Rillaboom, and it kind of sort of stops Rillaboom from doing Rillaboom things.
Oh yeah.
And Serena and Kyogre are, I mean, they're like 85% usage together. I mean, they're always together basically, you know.
Yeah. How do you stop a Grassy Glide? Serena.
It makes you put Woodhammer on your Rillaboom. You have to. In Series 10. So also, my phone just thought I said Siri. So number one for me, the number one thing that I am most excited about, maybe necessarily not having to deal with as much or as seriously anymore, going to be Regieleki. Regieleki, as we saw, had been pretty dominant in, I mean, every format. I mean, it's the fastest Pokemon in the game. Previous formats, I did like it a little bit better, where some of them would run screens. Some of them would run extreme speed. I do like that, where you're using it for more support than anything. The thing that I don't like the most about Alecki is that 99.9% of them are going to have all electric attacks and then protect. So a situation that I got really frustrated with a lot, and I think I've actually talked about it here on Geeklife before, is where I used to run like 2 electric attacks. It'd be like Electric Web and Thunderbolt. Protect and E-Speed, and that was literally because I would come into situations where it'd be Lando or just Lando in general with like low health and versus my Regieleki at like full health or anything, and I wouldn't be able to do anything because all I have is electric attacks. So I'm excited for I don't know, Aleki's still going to be really good for Series 10.
Still gonna be really good for Series 11, but it's gonna have a less prowess than it did in Series 10 for sure.
Absolutely.
For me, I've got to completely agree with you. My number 5 on my countdown is actually going to be Regieleki as well. Regieleki was awful in this meta. Complete speed dominance. If you wanted speed dominance, you put a Regieleki on your team. You threw Electroweb on there, and you got done what you needed to get done. Put a Magnet on there with the transistor boost, and it just does so much damage. Now we saw it less with Electric Train in the background, like it's been run with in some Dynamax metas, because it's so easy to set it up with just an Electro move. But man, Regieleki was annoying as hell in this meta, and it was a lot of times focus sash. So you'd have a Mon out there that you could, you had a plan for Regieleki. Well, you better have a plan that hits twice, and that wasn't always that didn't always work out, So Regieleki definitely not going to miss its prevalence in Series 10. Of course, it's going to be there in Series 11 for sure. It still has a lot of viability. But it hopefully won't be nearly as dominant. I mean, it was one of the top used Mons in this meta. Although, in Series 8, Regieleki was what, number 2. So maybe we'll even see more Regieleki. But I definitely didn't like how Regieleki was in this meta and the power that Regieleki had, for sure. So number 4 for me is going to be Kyogre. We talked a little bit about Kyogre before. That water spout coming in with either a tailwind boost or a scarf. However the case may be, that thing will clear fields. Coming in with 150 power when it's at full HP, right? That's just it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It was too prevalent in this meta. I mean, that was one of the main cores that you used for restricted was Tornadus and Kyogre, or Regieleki and Kyogre. Anything that you could do to control speed and still get off a water spout. That's what they did. And you had to, like, the reason I didn't like Kyogre is that you had to build teams around Kyogre because it was so prevalent. And that's really why number 3 in here is coming in, which is Incineroar. Incineroar, I know everyone wants to ban, or sorry, no, not Incineroar, Amoonguss, my bad. Amoonguss coming in here at number 3. With the Spore and just basically turning everything into a sleep meta, Rage Powder. It was one of those mons that you saw every now and again. It's not, well, it was very prevalent. It wasn't every now and again. It was on every other team, and it forced you to run that safety goggles Incineroar, and Incineroar will come in at number 2 on my list, just because, again, this was a mon that you had to build around in this meta. It was the most used mon in the meta. It was the best Intimidate user, a bulky fire type, which is super defensive. I have tried to build teams without Incineroar, and they just don't work as well because Incineroar exists. But my number 1 most hated mon in this meta has got to be Xerneas. Xerneas was another core that a lot of people used. I never played X and Y. I didn't understand Geomancy and how all this stuff works. And there'd be times. There was one time on one of my streams recently where I dittoed their Xerneas on their side. Of course, the Choice Scarf ditto, and I was like, I've got this now, right? No, sure enough, Geomancy, Mental Herb, that absolutely wiped the floor with me. I just didn't know how to really play against it as much, and a strong fairy type like that, being able to return fire with these really hard dazzling gleams, was just a pain in the ass. And I for sure don't think that this is going to be nearly as big of a problem, or we didn't see it as nearly as big of a problem in Dynamax formats. So hopefully that will be the case for this meta for sure. But yeah, Nibs. Now that we've talked a little bit about this meta, and we've counted down our tops here, we can see that there are definitely some similarities here. Both Regieleki and Kyogre, both ones that we really hated. I'm interested to see that Zacian going both on the top of yours and the bottom, the best and the worst. Why'd you put them best and worst?
Well, it's just so dang cute.
Yeah.
It's so dang cute, but it's also OP. Yeah, there's a reason that heavy looking sword can fit in that thing's mouth, and it's because it's got a big old bite. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure. Zacian was one that I played with a lot in the Dynamax formats, and I liked because of I like to actually use the Behemoth Blade for what Behemoth Blade is supposed to do. But even in this non-Dynamax meta, I mean, being able to throw basically an anti-intimidate mon with the highest attack in the game, was a lot of fun to play with too. I think Zacian was probably, if there was a number 6 slot, I would definitely put it on my top for sure.
Yeah, so I know that you're familiar with Lapdog, right?
Right.
So how familiar are you with Updog?
What's up, dog?
Nothing much, brother. What's going on with you? Oh man, that's right.
You had
that's
to.
right.
Yeah. Well, that will wrap it up for the first half of the show. We're going to take a short break, but before we do, we want to shout out producer Up Smash behind the curtain there, making sure everything's going right. It's not his fault that Skype has decided to randomly shrink and grow Nibs at random sizes, and it's happened to us definitely before. Hopefully, it's something that we can get figured out and fixed. But if not, just bear with us, guys. We're certainly not professionals. But producer Up Smash behind the curtain, doing a great job. Definitely go check out his stuff. You can find it on YouTube. Hopefully, one of our mods will hit up a link in chat with that information. We also want to remind our viewers that this stream is brought to you by Swift Lifestyles. You can use code GETGEEKED for 15% off your purchase of energy drinks, hydration powders, swag shakers, and so much more. It's a great way to support the show and still get a tasty drink out of it too. But yeah, that will take us to our break. We'll see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes with our match of the week, which will be me and Quiverdancer from the Beeves Cup. Absolutely fantastic match. I'm really, really excited, Nibs, to talk about this one with you. And then we'll wrap the show up with our top 5 plays of the week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back, trainers. And now it's time for one of my favorite segments, our match of the week. Oh, whoops, I accidentally hit the headphones there. Anyways, we have a best of 3 today brought to you by our good friend Quiverdancer. And this is actually from the Big Braves Beeves Cup, right? Which was something done with ATX VGC. Could you give a, for people that weren't there for the tournament, can you kind of give a little rundown of what it was?
So it's called the Big Brave Beebs Cup, which is a little bit of a it's a little bit of a tongue twister. It is. You can just call it alliteration. Yeah, you could call it Benefit for Beebs. You could call it anything of the sorts. But basically, we have this ATX VGC member. His name is Adam Santacos, and he had the unfortunate news recently. I think it's been about 2 or 3 months now that I've known personally, where his daughter, Beebs, in this situation, her name's Belle. She actually has a rare form of a brain tumor. She's actually pretty close to done her first treatment, to my knowledge. I don't know the extent of that, but I do know that the event that we were running is a benefit for them. I'm going to go ahead and call this a tragedy. It's pretty upsetting. I mean, I can't really relate to it, but I know that Adam is one of my favorite people that I've met, especially since being in the ATX VGC community. Anytime there's been anything at all where Adam knew that there was something going on in my life, he's reached out to me and asked me if I was okay, asked me if he could do anything to help me. And basically, he's just been there in more ways than anyone could ever ask for without it being asked. So basically, I would love to do anything that I can for Adam and his family, because they're all great people too. He goes by Adam Santacos, and whenever they pop into my stream and he mentions them, I say, "Oh, you go take care of those taquitos."
That's cute. That's very cute. Well, I participated in it with Quiverdancer. You participated. Well, you were officiating. There was like 24-ish. What was the final number of people that were in that tournament?
I think we ended up with 30 on the dot, because
30?
it was 30 or 31, whatever the next number was. We needed one more entrance. We needed one more person to enter in order to go to 6 rounds. And it was only 5. Is that right? You only played 5, right?
We only did 5. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I got 30th in there, because I actually stayed in after everybody else that lost 2 to 3 rounds dropped, because I need the practice, obviously, and went to get all my losses that were there. So I had all those losses on the record. So I'm pretty sure I was number 30. But so we're really excited to feature this match. This actually is my match between me and Quiver, because we got paired up at the very end of the tournament, and it was a very exciting match. I'm glad that we're getting to bring this one to you guys. Obviously, I'm a little bit. I know the end result, but we're still going to talk about it anyway. So, without further ado, let's get back.
Awesome.
All right, as we said before, this is the Big Brave Beeves Cup, and there's my handsome avatar there. I led with Zacian and Regieleki, and of course, over here we've got the Persian and Salazzle on Quiverdance's side. So Quiverdance definitely running a off-meta team here. Me running a kind of, obviously I said before, pretty standard meta team. Nibs, what do you think about these leads?
think they're pretty cool. I'm very excited to see Quiver's team. I really didn't see a whole lot of this game. I think I did catch a little bit of it. We do see you lead with something that is pretty standard, I would say. You got your speed control, you got your Zacian. We do see a fake out coming out from that Persian going into your Alecki, which is the only thing that actually did not go for a protect, so it's the only thing attacking. Alecki, you just got straight up red there, Dotson.
Very red.
That's pretty much all I can say about that turn one there. You went for protect with Zacian. That was red. Maybe you thought you were going to go for substitute. I'm not entirely sure what Quiver was thinking in that moment. But whatever it was good. So we do see you bringing in the shiny Ditto there on the other side of the field. You're going to go ahead and imposter this Salazzle. So pretty cool there.
At this point in the match, I'm thinking I need to figure out what that Salazzle has. And what it's going to be used for, because all these mons are off meta, right? There wasn't any wiki guide on how to beat Salazzle or anything else like that people were talking about. This wasn't a very colossal situation, and so I used that Ditto to kind of scout a little bit, as you'll see here, and of course, I'm going to pull back my Zacian and toss out Urshifu, because there's nothing here that really threatens Urshifu. We've got Salazzle on the other side, and Salazzle's going to be withdrawn, and Ho-Oh gets thrown out in Salazzle's place. Of course, I'm going to hit that Thunder Wave because I got that Choice Scarf, and that Ho-Oh is going to be paralyzed right off the bat. Persian going to come up with a foul play right into Urshifu, and that's not going to do too much damage to that water and fighting type. Pretty interesting play there.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So it's kind of funny that Urshifu has a super high attack stat, and a move like foul play does. It's actually based on the target's attack stat. So normally, like, that's what the base power is dependent on. The reason that did so little damage was because it's resisted by Urshifu because it's a fighting type. So if it wasn't a fighting type, it might have done double that, if not more. So we do see that Thunder Wave go in. We saw the Ho-Oh going back to Quiverdancer there. And in replace, it's going to be the Kartana. Surging Strikes is going to come out from the Urshifu there after Dotson gets that Thunder Wave off into the Persian. And we're going to see 3 resisted Surging Strikes here going into the Kartana. And it hardly, I mean, at the end of it, it does a pretty reasonable amount of damage, but it really doesn't do a whole lot considering it got attacked 3 times.
Very surprising that water is not very effective on what's essentially a papier-mâché soldier. But it being a steel and grass type, heavily resisted, it really takes those Surging Strikes well. And, whereas Ho-Oh is definitely in a threatening position there, especially with the paralysis, Kartana can really just kind of take those on the chin. But of course now, it's a very interesting play. Most of the team on Quiverdance's side is now paralyzed. And so we know that the speed control is definitely going to be on my side of the field. For sure. And we see, looks like we're going to get a little bit of a switch in here. Kartana coming back, and it looks like the Salazzle going right back out there.
Yeah, so Quiver knows that you're not going to go for something like a Surging Strikes going into that resisted hit that you already saw hardly do any damage. So it does get the switch in there. Salazzle's coming out as a replacement. Salazzle's going to get paralyzed too here in this situation. Quiver did you a massive favor in giving you that Thunder Wave, because now you've just used it. Yeah. You've used it on every Pokemon on the team.
Gave me the best, the most effective mon on my team right now with that Salazzle there. Of course, I'm in a situation now. I think it's going to be pretty obvious here in a second that, of course, my Ditto is Choice Scarfed, which is why I've been hitting nothing but Thunder Waves here going off. And so I'm pretty sure that at this point in the game, Quiver's got to be figuring that out, that it's going to be a Choice Scarfed. And it's pretty standard with Ditto there. And of course, if I'm hitting Thunder Waves into an already paralyzed mon, I think that really gives it away there. Persian going down to the close combat, or hanging in there with just it's all the way down, and with a Rocky helmet, he's still getting a little bit of chisel damage off there, and the paralysis stops Salazzle from really doing anything.
Yeah, so pretty crazy there. I actually have seen some Persians live a close combat from Urshifu.
Yeah.
It has an ability Fur Coat, which is pretty cool. It doesn't do a whole lot. I know it just it minimizes it makes its defense stronger when super effective attacks are hitting it, I believe. I'm actually
Yeah.
going to look into that and confirm that because I don't want to lie. I don't want to make stuff up to you guys. So yeah. Okay, so actually, Fur Coat, this Pokemon's defense has doubled. That's all that it is.
Coming out
And
with
it's
another Thunder Wave, and now every Mon has been paralyzed at this point. And then coming in with the Urshifu coming in with the Surging Strikes on, I believe this is going to be the Salazzle, which it does not take that very well. All the way down to pretty much just a sliver of health after 1 Surging Strikes. 2 Surging Strikes just takes it all the way on out of there. And that leaves, I believe, nothing else but the paralyzed Kartana, oh yeah, and the paralyzed Ho-Oh as well on Quiverdance's side of the field. So I think that you know, if you're Quiverdance right now, you're really not feeling this, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I would definitely be very annoyed if I was.
You just got it.
Yeah. So I would definitely be very annoyed if
Oh,
if
yeah.
I was Quiver here.
Yeah.
You know, all of your Pokemon have been paralyzed, and funnily enough, it's by a Pokemon that you gave Quiver, or Quiver gave you essentially, right?
Yes. And at this
And
point, I've already run out of Thunder Wave, so it's just hitting Struggle.
Mhm.
So literally the Struggle Bus. And you see both of them going into Ho-Oh. Surging Strikes looks like it's going to finish Ho-Oh off. And it does, really just cleaning house on these paralyzed Pokemon, essentially.
Yeah, really taking advantage of that Salazzle Thunder Wave. We do see Leaf Blade come out from the Kartana going into the Urshifu. Go ahead and get that KO and getting a Beast Boost at that.
Yep.
So Kartana going a +1 attack after that KO. The funny thing is, I mean, yeah, dude, it is really funny actually because you have Salazzle on the other side of the field that just, I mean, you could be like -4 probably, and I would bet that you're still really close to getting a KO on Kartana. If not,
Yeah.
it's guaranteed. But you're locked into Thunder Wave, so you can't do anything. It's literally just Zacian against this Kartana, and then Ditto, who's locked into something that does not affect Quiver in any way. So this is a really funny end game, and
Yeah.
I would be pretty annoyed if I was Quiver because every time you're playing, like does my Pokemon get paralyzed? Does my Pokemon
Right.
attack?
Exactly.
But yeah, so here you're just gonna get struggled. Quiver.
Quiver goes for a guillotine here into the protected Zacian. He must have known that was going to go for a protect right off the bat. And then I'm just literally riding the struggle bus with Salazzle and just struggling into it. But here we go with the Behemoth Blade. Try to see what we can do here. Of course, going into a steel type Mon, it is resisted a little bit, and it doesn't all the way knock it all the way down, but it does a pretty good bit of damage. Ditto coming in with the struggle again, and it's going to get it right into that red range. And Ditto also in recoil, but their Kartana is paralyzed, so nothing comes out of it. You never know. That could have been the guillotine that won it right there. I don't know if struggle would have finished it off, but of course you come here with the Behemoth Blade, which should finish this off, and knock in the first round for yours truly.
Very cool. So game one there goes to Bruce Bane, aka Dodson. Yours truly here, the handsome, the I don't know, the handsome, the lapdog enthusiast, the Ditto specialist.
Exactly. Really the Ditto specialist here. I'm just going ahead and leading with that Ditto. And you know what? I'm going to get that fucking Salazzle again. That's right. Game 2, same Pokemon. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? If I know he's going to lead with Salazzle, and I know how useful that Salazzle was for me last game, might as well go in here and see if I can copy it once again. And looks like Kartana is going to start off with a guillotine on that side. Man, it's been a minute.
Oh, man.
So, of course, I'm going to go for the Protect here. I want to scout out, see what he's going to try to do. Salazzle, going to go for the Fake Out on Ditto. Get the flinch. Kartana uses Guillotine. It doesn't work. Brave move there by Quiver.
Guys, go follow Quiverdancer, by the way, if you get a chance. Definitely a big shout out to Quiverdancer. He does stream. I love Quiver so much. He's a big member of the ATX VGC community, and I saw a compilation on Quiver's Twitter where he just showed like all the guillotines that he did land, and it's like the funniest little clip I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
We do see that Zacian going back there to Dodd, and Ensign is going to come out to replace it. Thunderwave coming out again, locking yourself in a Thunderwave for a second straight game is hilarious. We do see that Kartana goes for Sacred Sword, which is super effective in Incineroar. But it's neutral against the Zacian, which it was a good switch in. Because you are also going to take an overheat here from the opposing Salazzle. And the Salazzle at that is going to be paralyzed, and it's going to go to -2 special attack. So you're not really in the worst situation here, Dodson.
Yeah, no, I try to position this really well here. Zacian, you definitely don't want to lose that to an overheat. Even if that Salazzle is paralyzed, it could still probably get it off because I don't really have anything that can really take out Salazzle at that point, or maybe Behemoth Blade does, but it was a bit risky, especially didn't want to leave it in there with Kartana with the potential to possibly hit it with a Sacred Sword or whatever and start chiseling it down. I don't want to put it in a position where something like Regieleki could really threaten it. And of course, come in for the fake out, which allows them the free switch in, and a Thunder Wave, which doesn't affect Regieleki. So a good kind of start and counter what I've been doing here. And Incineroar comes in with the paralysis now. So Salazzle kind of returning fire here.
Yeah, I think Quiver got tired of seeing you click Thunder Wave, and he finally said, "It's my turn, Dodd.
Right.
I'm getting that Thunder Wave off.
I brought this Thunder Wave for a reason.
Not so my opponent could use it." Exactly.
Right.
So Salazzle's pretty cool. I think one thing that Quiver was maybe trying to experiment with there was the like fake out. Fake out in Series 10 with no Dynamax.
Fake out either.
And it's pretty fast too. It's a fast Pokemon. So we do see Zacian switch in here for what was the Incineroar. Thunderbolt is going to go into that Zacian slot, doing so much damage. Thunderwave is going to go into the Regieleki for a second turn, and then the Overheat is actually going to target down the Salazzle this time around. So no KOs are going to happen, but that Thunderbolt did so much damage to that Zacian. Yeah, do you know it wasn't Specs, right? It's Magnet.
I believe it's Magnet. I don't know what he was running on his Aleki for sure, but it definitely did a hell of a whole lot of damage. I was certainly expecting a Electroweb there, and not a Thunderbolt. So that really, I think, put this on, a really hard side for me to get into a point where I could come back with Zacian. Completely shutting off my Zacian does a lot to this team, and especially if that Salazzle that I've been stealing is not getting those Thunder Waves off like before and now is paralyzed as well. Not too good. Then again, it is still wearing a Choice Scarf, and for some reason it manages to kind of sit in the speed tier at a really interesting spot. But there's nothing really left in the back but Urshifu, which does not play very well against this Regieleki, that's for sure. Yeah, I would agree. If I'm Quiver here, I'm honestly probably just clicking Thunderbolt and Thunder Wave into that Urshifu. And you don't have to worry about that Ditto even a little teeny tiny bit, because you're locked into something that doesn't do anything at all. But we are going to see that Thunderbolt does bring that Urshifu all the way down to the Focus Sash. Surging Strikes is going to come out, and that's most likely targeting. I think it's probably targeting that Regieleki, but it's actually not. You're going to target into that Salazzle, and it is going to be enough to get a KO. But we're just going to see a struggle here from the Salazzle going into, or no, it's not struggling yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was definitely a disappointing turn for me. I thought about it probably after I clicked. I did think about it afterwards. I think I have it on stream where I was like, oh, I should have done this, and I definitely should have targeted the Regieleki that last turn. That would have probably changed the pace of this a lot better. That Salazzle can't really do much to my. I mean, you probably could hit it with an Overheat and knock out its Sash, but still wouldn't have put myself in nearly as a compromising position here. Kartana, of course, coming in here to kind of clean things up. I mean, that's all. I tried to at least save Ditto at this point and get the Incineroar buff. hoping that maybe the Intimidate buff will kind of slow Kartana down. But I mean, Urshifu's at Sash, so it's kind of an uphill battle right here. But
Yeah.
you can build off one more turn with a Detect.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they double target, if Quiver goes for a double target into your Urshifu, then you go into that Protect, right? You don't go into that Incineroar, and then you have access to Fake Out. And most of the Kartanas that you're going to see, and I think Quivers is as well, are going to be Assault Vest, because it's either going to be Assault Vest or Focus Sash. I think his Aleki is either Sash. I think the Salazzle is Sash. Did you ever find that out? You probably didn't, because the only thing that you really want to hit it with.
I've hit it with a Surging Strike, so it
yeah.
wouldn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. But the cool thing is here for you, Dobson, is that you are actually going to get the transform from the Ditto off into Kartana, which I think that's something that could be really helpful. I know you like to get that Salazzle, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea either, because you got the Kartana on the other side of the field. But the biggest thing I think is maybe you're just locking yourself too much into that Thunder Wave. Like, it's nice, you can click it a time or two, but you don't want to overdo it, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at this point in the tournament, I hadn't won any matches, and so if I was doing something that won, I was going to try it over again, and it got hard countered by Quiver here. I thought my best bet was, to try to see if I could reset Ditto on something good. Didn't end up getting the last one there, but that will bring us to match number 3, and I lead with Regieleki and Ditto here, and you need to watch this part on stream. Because, again, he leads with Regieleki and Salazzle, and I get the Salazzle once again, 3 times in a row.
Oh, man.
3 times in a row, I got that Salazzle.
That's so funny.
Complete mirror match on our sides of the field.
All right, so we do see that Salazzle lead from both trainers here. The Ditto catches the Salazzle, mirroring it, and then Aleki on the right, and it's a straight mirror. This is Aleki and Salazzle versus Aleki and Salazzle. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's whoever can play this better right here, and I unfortunately know the answer to that. Electro Web coming right off at the beginning, which is going to slow the Aleki down, of course, slow the Ditto down as well. And we got the Salazzle, of course. Quiver is using Overheat over here, and that finished off my Regieleki before it could get off one attack. And me thinking, I just do whatever I do best, Thunder Wave. I'm gonna paralyze this Salazzle, so at least it's slower than me. And that's really all I got from that turn. So absolutely destroyed the mirror match there. That winning the speed tie and getting the Electro Web off was absolutely critical. And then, of course, the Overheat to kind of put that rest of that in before Regieleki could even get off an attack. That's big. That's really big. So
for those of you that are curious, if you're not Quiverdancer in the chat, then you're probably not sure what the speed is on Salazzle. I'm not sure myself. So max speed for Salazzle, I'm gonna look that up super quick. It's base 117, that's really fast. So max speed Salazzle hits 185. That's the stat that I hit. So that outspeeds so many things. I mean, Charizard base 100 and Zapdos, they go to 167. Urshifu goes to 163. I think this is comparable to what, like Cinderace?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cinderace is 119.
So to talk about there, withdraw the Ditto, throw out Urshifu, get a substitute off on Regieleki, and then Zacian protects, which blocks Salazzle's Overheat. So a very neutral turn, good way to reset the field, trying to really kind of keep up with what Quiver is putting out on this side. Of course, having a Zacian over here, you don't want to see that fire type for sure. But he's got Aleki behind a substitute now to counter Urshi, which is not a good spot for me to be in for sure. Yeah,
we do see that Electro Web come out from the Urshifu there, doing tremendous damage to that that water Urshifu, and also doing quite a bit of damage to that Zacian. We are going to see that Zacian go for Swords Dance. Dotson here in this situation, just trying to get some setup going, seeing if he can use that Zacian to kind of carry things out. But at -1 speed, it's going to be difficult. We do see that Surging Strikes come out from the Urshifu going into that Salazzle. And that critical hit's not going to matter because 3 attacks is going to KO that thing anyway. But here in this time, we're only going to get to see it hit twice.
Yeah. Definitely not the most of the turn that you wanted. You know, I had at this point no way of blocking the Electro Web from getting the speed down, and so I figured if he's gonna knock my speed down, might as well, you know, get my attack up, which I think was just a panicked decision at this point in the match here. Dracovish, of course, not being brought out previously, definitely mixing things up here. For what we had going on here. Urshifu, actually, if you look right here, he's not actually all the way down to his sash. He's just a little bit above his sash, but obviously, you know, still not going to do much more damage. Going to get the Aqua Jet off here to make sure that Dracovish doesn't get that Vicious Rend off. And then, of course, Regieleki coming in with the Electro Web, which is going to clean up Urshifu, take that out. And Zacian, of course, getting another speed drop, meaning it's going to take this Vicious Rend anyways. So it's all down to this, you know, kind of normal attacked Vicious Rend, just pure stab. And I believe that ends up putting it all the way in and knocking out Zacian right then and there. So didn't matter, you know, you had 3 attack buffs on that bad boy. Should have gone for Behemoth Blade, man. Should have gone for Behemoth Blade. Should have taken out Salazzle with something there. But I got a Ditto. I'm gonna use that Ditto, but Ditto can't copy a substitute. So it just ends with poor little Ditto sitting on the other side of the field, waiting to get Vicious Rend in the face, trying to transform into whatever it can, but it can't transform into a substitute. So, and you can't pick up that Ditto goes on. So don't even transform there. Get Thunderbolted because Regieleki is super fast. And absolute domination by Quiver in that last match. You know, once you get those restricted called, you know, you get right there. So let's go back to the desk real quick and talk about that match.
All right, Dotson. Well,
go ahead, Debs.
I was just going to say thank you for participating in this event, for one. I greatly appreciate that. And same thing for Quiver as well. It doesn't only support me, but it also, as well, much more importantly, supports Beebs and Adam and the ATX community as a whole as well. You know, we're trying to go out and do something great for somebody, or just whatever we can for somebody, and you guys are there helping us help them. And we greatly appreciate that. We couldn't have done it without you guys. But in regards to that match, I don't know. I think you just ran into the issue where there was a lot of off-meta stuff, and it kind of, when you see that, and I ran into this issue in EGL Season 1, where I faced off against somebody named Hypnotic Milotic. Shout out to them. Yeah. So he's a really cool guy. Very nice, very cool, down to earth seeming, at least. He led against me in like week 3 or something with Eldegoss, I think, and Malamar. And I'm like, okay, this is easy. These Pokemon are terrible. They absolutely suck. They're trash. I got no chance of losing this. Him leading with those, I totally forgot about the fundamentals of Pokemon, basically, you know what I mean? I did end up winning that set, but it went down to game 3 and it didn't really have to. Basically, I forgot that all Eldegoss wants to do is Sleep Powder. Forgot that all Malamar wants to do is Superpower, because it gets contrary ability, where if it lowers its own stats or something, or if its stats get lowered, it actually reverses that and goes the opposite direction. So Superpower will give you a +1/+1 attack and defense boost. So basically what I'm getting at, Dodd, is when you face off against something that is not a part of the meta, not talked about a little bit, not even top 50, or for Salazzle's sake, I think not even top 100 in the meta. It's very difficult to remember what's right in front of you and how it works.
What it can do, how fast it is, all that good stuff. And I think that for me, I thought that the Salazzle strategy with Ditto worked firsthand. And the one successful thing I was able to do was copy that Salazzle 3 games in a row, basically calling where the Salazzle was. paralysis really gave me a speed tier advantage in the first game, and I tried to see if I could maintain that throughout the second game. Again, I was coming into this tournament with a completely different team that had speed control and that had those kind of strategies. Now I had to kind of adjust for it, right? And so I think that I tried to just that was one of the only matches that I really won that during that tournament, and I tried to see if I could make that strategy go again. But to kind of your point, I forgot to think about what some of the mons on the other side of the field, some of the ones that I did know, some of the ones that were meta, like Regieleki, right? I forgot to think about what Regieleki does, which is Regieleki attacks first always. And if you keep it on the field, every single turn it will end up doing damage to you. And I didn't have the damage to afford that in a lot of different circumstances throughout that match. And I think there was too many surging strikes that went into Salazzle that probably should have gone into Regieleki and taken care of those situations. So, you win some, you lose some, you learn from it. But it was absolutely fantastic match. I had a fantastic time. Thank you so much, Quiver, for playing with me and submitting that one. It was a really, really fun set. So glad, and we got to do a best of three. Best of three is always a good scenario, even if you get absolutely wiped the last one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one more time, Dotson, I do want to give a quick shout out to Quiverdancer. Thanks again for the support for everything, just being there. Quiver, actually, I like to consider Quiver a good friend of mine. So I just appreciate Quiver in every aspect, but
Absolutely.
Also great shiny hunter, great VGC player. It was really fun. Did not expect the third game with Ditto copy and Salazzle again. Cherry on top. That is hilarious.
I really wish I had your reaction to that when that happened, because I think that you would have known it from when I threw Ditto out first, and I have it all on stream too, of me thinking where can I, and my intention was to copy the Salazzle the entire time. and so in that regard, I really, really did well. And so I'll have to hang my hat on the Ditto scenario there. Up Smash should be proud of me for using Ditto, at least
proper Ditto placement.
Proper Ditto placement, at least that first match, right? Even if I did end up on the struggle bus, literally. Yeah. We're about done with the stream tonight, but before we go, we of course have our top 5 plays of the week. My favorite part of the show. So let's get right on to it. Nibs, you got to start it off with top 5, a clip from Master Mark. Tell us what we got.
All right, very cool. We got a clip from Master Mark, as you just mentioned. It's going to be a bullet punch coming out. This is Spooky Cup format, by the way. Bullet Punch was going into the opposing Slurpuff there, as we see a weakness policy proc. This could be horrifying. Max Geyser's going to come out. This is a +2 Slurpuff. Super effective, 4-time super effective attack going into Colossal, and that Colossal is going down, guys. It is not living anymore. That's horrifying.
Yeah, that's a great play for Master Mark's opponent there, I guess.
Yeah. I had messaged you earlier, and
weakness policy right into a Slurpuff.
So basically, I had talked to Master Mark in his Discord a few weeks ago, and got the okay from him to basically pull any clips that I felt like I wanted to grab. And this was a Spooky Cup one that I thought was great. And Dotson, I messaged you earlier saying that Master Mark literally, I guess his fans troll him in some aspect, because all of his clips are not Master Mark gaming.
I did see that before. I think the other one that you sent me was someone double sucker punching into a Regieleki, which is just cruel.
So I gotta say it really quick though. So it's not his fans are clipping not Master Mark gaming, but Master Mark's opponents gaming on Master Mark.
Yeah, for real. 100%. It's pretty crazy. But these are pretty crazy moves here, going right into that weakness policy and returning fire there. That's definitely not something you want to see. But it will make our number 5 play of the week here. So yeah, moving right along into number 4, we've got an appearance from Moxie Boosted, one of my personal favorite content creators. This one was actually one he submitted on our Twitter page. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Now, he had a particular strategy for this Spooky Cup. Of course, this actually is a play right after he bulldozed his Colossal to activate his weakness policy, but not his Steam engine. And the other team trick roomed, dropping his Colossal speed so that it would underspeed this Marowak so it could absolutely return fire. But the piece de resistance is that he's been carrying a Trick Trevenant, and this Trevenant has got a very special item, and that item is a can of
beans.
He brought beans to the match, and you can't hear Moxie saying it right now, but he says you can click taunt in Pokemon, but the real taunt is tricking a can of beans onto the opponent. Because what do you do with the can of beans? You don't even know. The fact that Trevenant was able to survive this Shadow Sneak also really clutch here in this play. The Volcolith returning fire. Moxie Boost is actually worried about a weakness policy activating here, but that just absolutely clears the field 100%. You trick the can of beans on there, wait for that rock damage to go, and honestly, you're in a really good place. So, beans coming in at number 4 in our top fire plays of the week.
All right, very cool. We're gonna switch over to number 3 here, which I'm excited for. It is Aldrich Yan. Who actually sent this to me privately. He is predicting a wide guard from his opponent, which he predicted correctly. We see another Quiverdancer on the other side of the field, and that was what clicked the wide guard. And then we end up seeing a double in with Hydro Pump and Power Whip going into the Lunala, picking up that knockout. So great play there from one of our favorite ATX VGC members from Singapore. He likes to say that he is from a strange part of Texas that is exactly 12 hours ahead of our time zone.
Yeah, that strange part of Texas located in Singapore. Don't tell Texans that. They'll actually get a big enough ego to think that that's real. But yeah, of course, you definitely want to take out the, with the wide guard situation, you usually are going to get a water spout out of Kyogre. You don't see Hydro Pump run very often, and it really didn't even do that much damage to Lunala. But that Power Whip absolutely cleaning house and taking out Lunala before it can get anything out of there. That's a great call. It's a great play and works really well in this Series 10 meta. For sure.
All right, so switching over to number 2, Dotson, I think this is you.
Yeah, so we've got our friend, I think it's Will-O-Wisp, I think is what it is on Twitter. I'm not sure. It was one of your friends here, but coming in, the title of this was Why I Run a Bulky Lando. And if you can see right here, Entei coming in with an extreme speed. It lives it by about 3 points, or about 3 HP, Earth Power, coming off into a Stack Attacka, which will take it out because that 3 HP survives. That means the Stack Attacka goes down, and what a play. Of course, the burn damage is going to take it out of there, but that's all you needed. You just needed that 1 Earth Power to get out of that situation, and really a clutch situation. You can see by the Pokemon left that you really need a win here in order to get out what you need here. So, coming in with this Earth Power, finishing off the Stack Attacka, really help cleans house and can hopefully open up the rest of the match for Will-O-Wisp. Hopefully that ended up going well for her, but I mean for them, I don't know their pronouns. So
anyway. I do wanna add to that super quick. So one thing that we did talk about earlier, and this is Wooly, by the way. She sent us this clip off of Twitter. But earlier in the show, we were talking about Landorus incarnate form and how dangerous it can be, and how most people will run them kind of fast, not with a whole lot of bulk. But Wooly here is intentionally using bulky Landorus, which very fortunately in this situation, normally a Landorus would die to that extreme speed from the Entei, but hanging on here and getting that knockout. Boy. Exactly.
That's a bulky boy. All right, and that'll bring us to number 1 in the countdown. Nibs, what do we got?
All right, so number 1 here in the countdown. Can you remind me who this? Oh, this is Savage. We are playing in this game.
Yes,
all right, so Savage hiding in the bushes here with the Wigglytuff. I will say Savage has that catchphrase, first you give him the wiggle, then you give him the tough. We're seeing the wiggle in the bush. The Charizard goes by, does not see it. 007. We're going to see a plus 100 here. That is such a stealthy plus 100 there, Dotson. What do you think?
Absolute steal here. Look, you can see this starts off before the 2-minute marker here. Wigglytuff is sitting right behind here, hiding in the bushes, and you see that everyone's in the big team fight up here. You see a KO from me actually, and to Lucario. You see the Charizard running off after him. Charizard doesn't know what to do, but hey, might as well go ahead and steal it. You're already in the 15-second mark, so you're gonna get those double points, and to be able to clear out the goal like that, absolutely perfect. I don't know how they missed this Wigglytuff earlier, because it's definitely going to be on their mini map, right? Like they've had to have seen it right there, and then all of a sudden, just hide in the bushes. And I guess if you just wait long enough, they'll go out of there. But gotta love that 007 sneak play.
Absolutely. And I am seeing in chat, and while we're still in the highlight clips, I do want to mention Wooly in chat saying that she EV'd the spread to survive modest 252 Fairy Aura plus 2 Xerneas Dazzling Gleam. That is insane. That is a bulky Landorus.
That is a bulky Landorus. All
yeah.
right. Well, I think with that's our top 5 plays of the week, and that brings us to a close for the 3rd episode of Silph Co Sports here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us, even through all of our technical difficulties and everything else. A big shout out to obviously Savage Patch Kid, Quiverdancer, Wooly, Up Smash. Who else do we have in here in chat hanging out with us? War Siren, Littlest Nelly, of course, Nibs and myself hanging out here. All you guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We really, really appreciate that. If you want to hang out with us more, you can always join our Discord. There's a link to that Discord below. It says join the Nerd Herd on a big little icon with a cart and a little horse. It's a fun little button. Push it. You can go to our Discord, hang out with us, and have a lot of fun. We talk about VGC in there. There's a whole Silph Co Sports section for you guys. Yeah, we want to remind our viewers that if you like or see what you hear on the show, you can be sure to follow us here on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all those good things. If you want more of me, you can find me at Rusebane, WRUSE_BANE on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. Nibs, where can they find you?
You can find me at Nibs Plays Games. We talked about it earlier in the stream. I went on a little bit of a hiatus because my technology decided to fail out on me. But now I have a new PC, as you can see, as we are here. But you can find me at Nibs Plays Games on Twitter, Twitch, and technically TikTok, but I don't have any videos. And also ATX VGC on Monday Night Friendlies.
There you go. There you go. And finally, last but not least, a big shout out to our strange pink blob man behind the curtain, producer Up Smash. You can find his content in the description on YouTube, and you can find it right here in chat if you're chilling with us live on Twitch. That's all we got for you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for coming by, guys. We appreciate it. Send us clips.
Back now, you hear?
Send us the VODs.